Chapter 11 Change Fist, Palm, Leg, Footwork. Every fighting zombie has its own specialties. Although these memories overlap to some extent, they also complement each other, like a puzzle, complementing my deficiencies in actual combat skills bit by bit. So far, boxing has the most memories, and it is also the first to touch this kind of bottleneck. Liu Sheng thought to himself. The biggest benefit that the dream world brought him was that he could continuously absorb memories and integrate them into himself. Liu Sheng easily obtained the results that others spent a lot of time and energy on. This is equivalent to Liu Sheng stepping on the shoulders of countless predecessors and moving forward quickly. During this period of time, absorbing the memories of a large number of zombies in one-piece suits, in addition to making Liu Sheng's progress in martial arts practice leaps and bounds, there is another gain. It's the news about Base 1359. With clues obtained from memories, Liu Sheng gradually pieced together a real route to Base 1359. The direction is right. As long as I keep walking, sooner or later I will find Base 1359. And this day should not be far away. Liu Sheng looked ahead, where was shrouded in a large amount of gray fog. Occasionally one or two shambling figures flashed in the fog. With a firm gaze, he strode over. About the solution to this problem. In class, Liu Sheng listened carefully to the teacher's lecture. Since his practice became regular, Liu Sheng found that his brain has become much more flexible. According to Liu Sheng's guess, a large amount of memories should be absorbed in the dream, and the storage process of these memories stimulated the development of the brain, which improved his memory, brain operation speed and other aspects. In other words, to be smarter. Speaking of fantasy, that is the improvement of understanding. Anyway, now that Liu Sheng is studying textbook knowledge, he feels very relaxed. Knowledge points that I couldn't understand before, but now I can understand them after reading it once, and I became a student master directly. Liberal arts knowledge is not completely useless to Liu Sheng. After all, the college entrance examination also requires liberal arts, but it doesn't add much to the total score. Okay, after class. As the bell rang for the end of get out of class, the math teacher stopped the lecture and announced the end of the get out of class. By the way, he reminded, the next class is a practical class. Students remember to gather in the practical classroom early. After finishing speaking, the math teacher walked out with the textbook and teacup in hand. Liu Sheng tidied up his class notes and books, and prepared to leave the classroom after tidying up. Practical classes are usually arranged in the school's Wuguan Road, which is a few minutes away from the teaching building. In addition to changing clothes, you have to leave immediately if you want to avoid being late for class. This is why even a math teacher dare not delay the class. Hey, Liu Sheng. As soon as he walked out of the classroom, Liu Sheng heard someone calling him from behind. Liu Qiming ran up quickly, subconsciously wanting to hug his shoulder. But halfway through his hand, he retracted inexplicably. Wait for me, let's go together. Liu Qiming didn't know what happened to him either. In the past, he and Liu Sheng often played and joked, and all kinds of physical contact did not matter. But now, when he was close to Liu Sheng, he actually felt an inexplicable sense of timidity. Just like there is an invisible aura surrounding Liu Sheng's body, repelling him fiercely. You have really changed a lot recently. Liu Qiming tried to walk beside Liu Sheng, but his tone of voice was a little cautious unconsciously. Yeah? Liu Sheng didn't notice Liu Qiming's strangeness, and replied casually, after all, the college entrance examination is coming, and you know my family's situation. If you don't work hard, you will completely become a burden to the family. That's right. Our family conditions are similar, so I'm going to start working hard. Liu Qiming deliberately took a step behind Liu Sheng, and immediately felt a lot more relaxed after following him. He didn't have to face the aggressive aura emanating from Liu Sheng, he could speak more smoothly. But my family is better than yours. I'm the only one in my family. Liu Sheng nodded. Liu Qiming's words are correct. If there's only one him in their family, or only his younger sister Liu Qinghe, the pressure on the parents will undoubtedly be much less. However, your sister's talent is so good, it won't be a problem for her to be admitted to Wuhan University in the future, get a full scholarship, and various other subsidies. The locker room is here, let me open the door for you. Lu Qiming quickly ran past Lu Sheng and opened the locker room door for Lu Sheng one step ahead. The two who were supposed to be best friends, now one of them seems to be reduced to the other's follower, but Lu Qiming didn't realize this at all, as if everything was logical and as it should be. Scholarship. There was a light of thought in Lu Sheng's eyes. Lu Qiming's words gave him an inspiration. He has been thinking about how to make money recently. On the one hand, it is to reduce the burden on the family, so that parents don't have to work so hard. On the other hand, with the continuous improvement of his martial arts cultivation, he must need a lot of money to support it. Take the simplest food as an example. Lu Sheng now eats those ordinary meals, which are increasingly unable to keep up with the nutrients needed to increase his blood value. If it continues, it will inevitably slow down his progress, and it will also become a terrible dung-making machine. The way Lu Sheng thought of making money before was to become a first-level official warrior, so that he could receive a monthly allowance of several thousand yuan from the woman. The money could be used to buy some things to replenish energy and blood. Now Lu Qiming's words made him think of another way: scholarship. Every school gives some material rewards to students with good academic performance, and Baya No. 3 Middle School is no exception. I remember that the first-class scholarship of Baya No. 3 Middle School seems to be a full 10,000 yuan. If you can get this money. Lu Sheng suddenly had an idea in his heart. And if he wants to win this money, he must show some talent and strength that a first-class scholarship winner should possess. Chapter 12 Trick Lu Sheng, how did you lose so much weight? In the locker room, Lu Sheng and Lu Qiming were changing the martial arts uniforms required for the actual combat class. Lu Sheng, who took off his coat and pants, showed a body with clear lines and smooth lines like a cheetah. It's just a little thinner, which is due to the rapid growth of qi and blood and insufficient nutrition. Hair needs a cut. Lu Sheng looked at his familiar yet unfamiliar face in the mirror. Thin, handsome, with a knife-like sharp light occasionally bursting out of his deep, dark eyes. Even if he just stood there calmly now, he would give people an inexplicable sense of shock. It makes people feel hairy, just like when ordinary people encounter wild animals such as tigers and leopards in the wild. This is the result of the increase in qi and blood and the absorption of a large amount of dream memory, which Lu Sheng himself hadn't noticed before. I've grown a little taller. Lu Sheng changed into the martial arts uniform, looking at the obviously short sleeves and trouser legs, thinking silently in his heart. His previous height was 175. During this period of practice, his height skyrocketed to nearly 1.8 meters, and the martial arts suit that originally fit him immediately looked smaller. After changing their clothes, Lu Sheng and Lu Qiming walked into the Budokan together. The entire Budokan is very large, and it is divided into pieces of fields made of upholstered mats. Each field is equivalent to a practice classroom for combat lessons. They were obviously not the only class attending classes during this time period. Lu Sheng and Lu Qiming found their class venue and walked over quickly. Everyone sat in a circle around the edge of the field, and a middle-aged man with a muscular body and slightly tight loose martial arts uniform stood in the middle. This actual combat lesson is to consolidate what I taught you before, the content of basic fighting skills. The teacher of the actual combat class was Sheng Jinghua, an official second-level warrior. It was said that he had been on the battlefield and had confronted strange beasts head-on. The huge scar on Sheng Jinghua's deliberately exposed right arm is the best evidence. This is also the capital he is most proud of, and he has boasted to the students more than once in class. Next, Sheng Jinghua began to formally explain the use of various fighting techniques to the students, and even called a boy to go up to practice with him. In Lu Sheng's view, these fighting skills taught by Sheng Jinghua are simple and superficial, and what he absorbed from the dream memory is far superior to these. Call Yang Fei to go up every time, can't we give ordinary people a chance? Shit. Lu Sheng suddenly heard Lu Qiming beside him complaining sourly. Only then did he notice the boy Zhong Jinghua called up to practice martial arts with him. The boy's name is Yang Yifei. He comes from a good family background. His martial arts grades are top-notch in his grade, coupled with his handsome appearance. He is quite popular even in school. Now, Yang Yifei, who was wearing a white martial arts uniform and cooperated with Zhong Jinghua in his calm moves, attracted the eyes of the girls below. If you were given a chance, you wouldn't be able to grasp it. Even if you withdrew your strength, Mr. Zhong's fist wouldn't be able to catch everyone. Lu Sheng glanced at Lu Qiming and said calmly. Lu Qiming's face turned red, and he muttered, "Who made Yang Yifei's family well off, and took all kinds of tonics for food, and I heard that his blood value is almost 1.2. Lu Qiming looked unconvinced, as if he and Yang Yifei were raised in the same environment, he would definitely be able to do better than Yang Yifei. Lu Sheng didn't talk to him anymore, but just watched Zhong Jinghua and Yang Yifei's demonstration calmly. On the surface, it looks like he's listening carefully, but in fact Lu Sheng has already been thinking about the scholarship in his mind. When, what method to use, and raise this matter with the teacher. Okay, the demonstration is almost done. Next, let 2 students come up to the actual combat, and I will guide alone. After Zhong Jinghua finished the drill, he casually called out to Yang Yifei who was beside him, "Yang Yifei, don't go down, and find another person to practice with you." Yes. Yang Yifei looked normal, as if he was used to such special treatment. Which classmate is willing to come up and challenge Yang Yifei? Zhong Jinghua asked loudly, and the students below all avoided wherever his eyes swept. Is there no one? Zhong Jinghua frowned slightly, a little dissatisfied. Every time they talk about actual combat exercises, these students shrink back, like ostriches, wishing to bury their heads in the ground, so how can he teach them? Many people privately said that he was partial to the top students in his class. These people don't even think about it carefully. Every time in such a situation, apart from top students like Yang Yifei, how many people would dare to stand up and accept his guidance? Many people like to complain that there is no opportunity, but they don't understand that opportunities slip away quietly when they shrink back again and again. Zhong Jinghua glanced at each student, feeling gradually disappointed. Just when he was about to order someone to come up casually, he suddenly met a pair of dark and deep eyes. Zhong Jinhua's eyes lit up, and his eyes fell on a thin student with calm eyes. Among the crowd avoiding his gaze, a person who dared to look him in the eyes suddenly appeared, so eye-catching and abrupt. Okay, that classmate is you. You come up to practice with Yang Yifei. Zhong Jinghua pointed to the student who was different and said loudly. Lu Sheng, teacher Zhong is calling you. Lu Sheng recovered from his thoughts, and suddenly realized that he had been hit by Zhong Jinghua and asked him to come on stage to practice against Yang Yifei.